right. All right.
I am so glad to be here with Miss Bartlett. I am so glad that she decided to join me. A couple of semesters ago, I was teaching, and I have this student on my roster by the name of Gail Bartlett. And here she comes to class. And as we're proceeding through class, she just erupts and lets everybody know that she's in her upper 70s, approaching 80. And number one, I didn't think she was a day over 40. And then everybody else was shocked. And so I am just so excited to have one of my top students in the history of teaching in higher education, Gail Bartlett, joining us here tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, Gail, for this incredible conversation.
Thank you for having me, Dr. J. I'm happy to be here. And it is Barnett.
Barnett,
Yes, that's okay. I know you
sorry.
stay busy and engaged with many people, so no problem. But it's
That's
Gail
it. That's
Barnett.
it. Well, Gail, tell us a
Absolutely.
little bit. What made you decide approaching 80 instead of just sitting back and relaxing to really put that mind back into focus and getting a higher education and going forward in getting, first of all, I believe it's your first degree of others to come. And so with that, to go back to school and get a degree.
Well, Dr. J, getting a degree has been on my mind. It's been my dream. And when I say dream, I have often dreamed about being back in college in the 60s. I went for 2 years to Fort Valley State.
Okay.
So it's been something that I want to do. I have studied at other institutions after I start working with the First National Bank of Atlanta, here in Atlanta, Georgia, of course. So it's just a dream to fulfill that never left me.
Wow.
I don't call at my age relaxing so much because you can relax so much that I think as seniors we fail to continue to learn. So with me enrolling in school, knowing it's a must to complete um, assignments,
Mhm.
stay engaged with the now.
Yeah.
Because if in fact I was not in school, I would be relaxing. I would not be learning. I would be watching all my soap operas that I used to watch when I was a caregiver for my late husband.
Uh,
But since we last talked and saw each other, I turned 80 March 24th.
wow. Wow.
So I celebrated 80 years being here, and
Wow.
I'm just elated to have the opportunity to return to school and do as well as I am doing. It keeps me challenged.
Yeah.
I'm meeting quite a few people who are not 80 or 78 when I started back to school,
Mhm.
but are of age, anywhere between 40 and 60 years old. And there may be more students in school my age, somewhere below me. I'm just not aware. But it
Yeah.
wasn't to make a point. I missed out on getting a degree. And also, I missed out on pledging to the sorority I have always wanted to since back in 1966.
Tell everybody about that because let me set on my end.
Okay.
So, we connect, we're, we keep in touch, and all that. And then I get an
Right.
email back in December. Number one, you as a student, I was already applauding you as your effort, but then you reached back out to me to say, "Hey, would you mind giving me a letter of recommendation to pledge Delta, to become a Delta?" And here you are approaching 80 and you become say it, a
Delta. Delta
Delta.
student
And I
exam.
tell you, I put that all on my socials. I brag to
Oh,
all my
did you?
colleagues.
Oh my
I
goodness.
am I I don't know if I'm more proud of you going back to school or becoming a Delta because
Uh,
both of them are such great accomplishments. But
yes,
it's not 1960 no more, and like
absolutely,
that. And
absolutely.
here you are at 79, approaching 80, going, you know what? I'm going to become a Delta, and you did it.
Yes, yes, I'm just very excited about that. The intake to Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, it was challenging to some degree. Most of the young ladies who were online with me, the pyramids, of course, being younger than me. Um, and I do have health issues, high blood pressure, diabetic. So with those challenges, I have to always monitor myself, but I try to not allow that to hold me back.
So
Like,
I guess we can say you're not on the step team, huh? Or not yet.
no, but I did try to do what I know how to do well. When I was in high school and college, I was a majorette. So I said,
Oh,
well, let
look
me
at
do one of
you.
my steps,
That's
after
it.
introducing myself. The younger
Yeah.
girls do all the jumping and
Yeah.
what have you. And they look so good, so limbo and everything, but I
Yeah.
did what I could do. So I
Good.
was very excited about that experience. So now I am here to be a part of our next two intakes, which we're gonna try to go for a rush in the fall here at
Okay.
Mercer
All
and
right.
in the spring to help
Gotcha.
increase the young ladies who are Black, educated women who want to serve, volunteer, which is part of our programmatic, you
Yeah.
know, emphasis on Delta Sigma Theta.
Yeah.
So that really came as a surprise because I never saw much information about the deltas, but doing the homework and research before attending Mercer, I did see that Delta was one of its Greek organizations. And the
Yeah.
reason being they had only one Delta who
Yes.
graduated last Saturday. So
Okay.
that's why the present wasn't as great. So I said,
Okay.
well, I'm back in school to get the degree, and I'm just not certain about being able to pledge in the collegiate chapter here at Mercer. And then, like you said, in December, there was
Yeah.
information that came out
Hmm.
that they would have a rush in the spring. So
Yeah.
I just really got so excited. And I said, let me do my homework and find out all the information I can about Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And of course, I
Incorporated.
send a letter to you and maybe one, two other people because it was during the holiday, it was on the
Yes. It was.
weekend, and time was of essence.
Yes, I understand.
So, with all of that said, I proved myself to be a good volunteer
Good.
and to now be a part of the sisterhood.
That's good. And
Yeah,
then
so
and then you didn't stop there. We reconnected last week again because you let me know how the end of the semester went and how your semester did all that. And now you're about to be featured in Mercer's publication. Tell us about
yeah,
that because by the time this is released, I believe it will already just be released at that time.
yeah, you're very excited, I guess, because you never had anyone as old as I am or seasoned, should I say, in your class.
Yeah.
So, not looking for accolades. I'm just trying to complete some of the things that I've wanted for many, many years. But there were several things that happened during my life
Yeah.
that I could not go back to school. But the great thing about education, I did not stop studying. First
Mhm.
National had classes for training its employees. I became an officer with the bank, and along with becoming an officer and being the employee over staff members, I had to keep learning. I had
Yeah.
to keep going to classes to be effective and the best that I could be because I wanted the person, the mentor, who was one of my female executives, to know that she did not make a bad decision when she recommended me to become an officer, an
Yeah.
assistant vice president, and then a vice president with Wachovia Bank.
Yeah.
First National merged with Wachovia, then with First Union, and now they are Wells Fargo. So there have
Okay.
been a lot of changes with my in my first career as a banker and
Yeah.
a leader, um, as it is in school.
Yeah.
Because when I came to Mercer, I was thinking about education because I've done volunteering in the schools a lot.
Sure.
And I said, well, maybe I can not only volunteer, but I may have the opportunity to sub for when teachers are out. So I
Yeah.
said, well, I'll major in education.
Uh-huh.
And then talking with one of the instructors doing orientation, I said, I don't want to work. I'm just trying to fulfill things on my bucket list and get
Yeah.
that degree. So he said, well, after he sat and listened to me talk the same as you do, he said, well, what about organizational leadership? That
Mhm.
sounds like that would be very fitting for you because even though you don't want to work or get a new career, you will be able to perform even better in organizations at your church, your community, and voila, now Delta Sigma Theta.
That's
So
it.
it has been very good, and I appreciate him for suggesting
Yeah.
organizational leadership.
Yeah.
So I've learned quite a bit in the classes preparing me for my degree.
Good.
I don't know, you asked me earlier, how would I recommend or say to students of my age about returning to school? I think
Mhm.
it keeps the brain busy,
Okay.
rather than being idle during the day. Going
Yeah.
to LA Fitness to exercise 2 and 3 times a week
Mhm.
for 45 minutes, that's all good. It helped us with our um, physical and some of the mental
Yeah.
parts of our lives, but I believe going back to school helped a lot with the mental adjustment and long-term memory and how
Mhm.
things have changed so much in the world. It keep us abreast of new things, new ways to do things. And I have 4 granddaughters who all have degrees.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and then I have a great grandson who is 2, and he already is talking and wanting to play the piano a lot.
Okay.
So just to be able to keep up, know the changes, because I could not help my grandchildren with lessons because of the way I learned back
Sure.
in the 50s and 60s. The method is so different.
Yeah.
Uh, Words to explain how you get 1 + 1 = 2
Yeah.
as a scenario. The way I was taught, we could get the same answer. But if I say to them 25 plus 25, 5 and 5 is 10, and carry 1, they say, carry where? So, that's what I'm saying
Sure.
about terminologies where they learn
Absolutely.
in tens. You
Yeah.
have tens here and you'll use 10 there, some way they do it. But
Yeah.
it's so different.
Yeah.
But at least I'm able to sit down and talk with them about things that are happening now, really know a lot about it. And it just made me feel good to
Good.
learn in the
Good.
21st century.
That's it. Well,
Yeah.
I tell people, I decided to go back to school in my late 40s, and it was
Okay.
a large learning curve to go back to school. How was it
Yes.
for you as well? Was that the same way? Because we have new technology. Then I don't know about you, but learning to cite and use APA was like learning a new language and all of that. So how was it for you?
Overwhelming.
Okay,
It
yeah,
was
I could get it.
because it was not traditional learning, sitting in the
Yeah.
classroom. As a real estate broker and taking continuing education, a lot of my continuing ed classes are in the classroom.
Hmm.
I can do some online, but I cannot compare them with the app that we use, Canvas.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was so stressed
yeah,
trying to learn that quickly.
yeah.
Even though I had gone through orientation, I kept getting these emails and I missed something in orientation that I could start learning the Canvas
Okay.
app, which is the system that we use for learning. So once I got past that, I was able to maneuver to find out what the assignments are, where to go and look for the assignments. Then I had to go, I actually physically went to the library to try to do assignments, learn about peer reviews and all of this. And the librarian was just so helpful
Good.
with me and taught me how to do all of this online. And
Yes.
even though I still run into obstacles trying to get to where I want to be, I have still learned so much more than I knew 2 years ago
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
classes online. But yeah, it can be challenging, and you really have to be up to wanting to make a change in your life for
Right.
something new.
Yes.
And even though it's like now, I've been going, taking classes fall, spring, summer, fall, spring, and then I start summer school on Monday because I was 3 classes short of getting a degree for 2027. And that
Okay.
was my goal, and I didn't want to go past that time.
Okay. Good. Good.
Uh,
And
yeah,
how
just
would you agree with the fact that a student becomes a student of their studies that they're majoring. But then there's some of us, and I'm talking about like yourself and myself, who went back to school after decades, have to become a student, have to be a student of what it's like to be a student because things are so different nowadays. And so not only do you have to study your courses, but you also have to study what it's like to be a student in the 21st century.
of course, and learning how to study, the
Yeah.
best way to study and not get so exhausted and
Sure.
tired that I want to drop out.
Yes.
Uh, that
Have there been
first
moments?
semester was very, very challenging.
Okay.
I can resonate back 2 years ago, let's say up to now. And I think I'm doing much better now that I've learned how to study in a new college environment
Okay.
compared to 4 centuries, four, not centuries, but 4 decades ago.
Sure. Sure.
Just catching up, it's not easy.
Yeah. Tell us about your first semester. Tell us why it was so hard.
Well, okay, I'm working with classes online,
Hmm.
assignments that are due like 3 to 4 days from the start of the semester. And
Sure.
I still did not know how to work my way through the Canvas system,
Okay.
uh, getting my books.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
because I do have glaucoma,
Okay.
the fonts were so smart. It was just an adjustment period to the textbooks, to the online study system. So I felt like I'm a student learning, like you said, to be a student,
Yeah.
learning to use the materials and everything that was there in front of me.
Yeah.
Uh, so I was learning how to do that, the best way for reading very quickly to be able to come back to do discussions online,
Yeah.
um, writing effectively, something I was never really great
Yeah.
with. And I was told that I could use like Grammarly or something, send my paper, and they'll help me with organization, the grammar and stuff. So that helped me, and it helped me to build my writing skills.
Good, good.
Yeah,
Yes, yes, absolutely.
yes,
What are other tools besides Grammarly? Because that's one of the tools that I really preach about to use is Grammarly. It helped me become a better writer. I don't put anything out in public unless Grammarly gets their eyes on it second, Have you used
right.
other tools in school that could help other students? And that means any students to be able to succeed.
Oh, the younger students, they have it going on. I mean, they are already introduced from high school coming to college, the computer, like I
Mhm.
have to use Zoom.
Yeah,
I even had a class on digital, I can't think of the name of it, but I
digital communication.
chose to do a research on Zoom, which
Okay.
gave me the chance to go in, learn how to use Zoom.
Yeah.
Because I found myself, how do I join this? And I would have the Zoom address, and then you have to enter the meeting code or something to that
Yeah.
nature, and I still could not get in.
Yeah. And
My children,
I remember our first Zoom. You were still learning it,
and
and I remember that. And I will tell you, I will be honest, I was like a little bit worried. And then after the second Zoom, I was like, I'm not worried about her no more. She's got this. And
yeah, and
so yeah,
one of my classes, I don't know what I did on the Zoom screen. I was still in the process of learning, and I am still learning different functions on Zoom.
yeah.
But I had to give my presentation with my upside down, and I didn't know how to reverse me on
Okay.
Zoom. I don't
Yeah.
know what button I put a press, but it was
Yeah.
so funny, and the students were trying to assist me in how to reverse myself back in the upward way. So I did my presentation, the Zoom presentation upside down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's good. What moment in this journey would you say has touched your heart the most of going back to school and making this decision?
Um, the fact I did not come back to school to be cum laude,
Yeah.
magna cum laude.
Oh,
I
that's
have
good.
been on the dean's list. I was on the president's list last fall, and
Right.
I was just too elated and so surprised. I was never on the principal's list in high school, and of
Sure.
course, my first 2 years in college, I never was on a dean's list. So it comes with maturity, life's experiences, and things that I have learned prior to coming to school that has helped me to adjust.
Mhm.
And because I wanted so bad the degree, I am adjusting myself to the changes. So I'm happy for me. And of
Good.
course, my three children and the grandbabies, all of them have degrees, and they are just so excited. So I don't
Yeah.
want to get overexcited because I don't want to send my blood pressure up. And that's something I have to worry about. But
Well, you
the
do.
success that I'm making is the most important thing that keeps me keeps me motivated in
Yeah.
wanting to do my last year.
You talk about your family, and one of the things I tell students all the time in between semesters to please look at videos of the graduation, look at what the gown is going to look like, because that's what motivated me to graduate, to keep going
Okay,
when it was tough. And I know that day is going to be exciting because you'll have your whole family there cheering you
absolutely.
on. But I also
Hmm.
want you to know there is also, and you know this, another village that's also cheering you on as well, because we're all cheering you on because it's just an inspiration. I haven't shared this with you, but we had presentations for a class that I was teaching this past spring. And I had pulled a student aside to meet with me after class. And I waited until everybody got off the camera. And I met with her. Those who don't know, this class I'm talking about was actually through Zoom. So I'm meeting with her on Zoom, and I just said, I want you to know that the work that you're doing, and this was true, is master's level work. It's not undergraduate work. And she shared with me, she said, "Are you serious?" She said, "I started going back to school. I'm 58 now." She said, "I
Mm.
started going back to school. I didn't think I could do it." And I just said, look, everything you write, how you present is master's level presentations and writing. And I just said, please don't let a bachelor's degree be the end for you because there is more there. So I was able just to encourage her and also share your story with her because she was saying, "Hey, I'm 58. I didn't know if I should do this because I was, quote, too old." And I said, "Let me tell you something. You're not alone. There are people that are older that are going back to school, including Miss Barnett, and I told her about your story, but I also was able to tell her not only your story going back to school, and I said she's also a Delta now. And so I remember holding my phone and showing her over the camera, this is her right here becoming a Delta. And so she was just that excited her. And so I've been able to use your story to encourage a lot of students because going back to school after you have been out for decades can be daunting because, again, you're on one hand made to learn a new subject, if we say subject, but then you're also having to learn a whole new way of doing school. And it doesn't
Absolutely.
look like what majority people did even 10 years ago, much less decades ago. And so I applaud you for sticking it in there, and sticking to it because I know the frustrations that a lot of students feel because they have to learn a new learning platform, they have to learn Zoom, they have to learn Grammarly. There's all these things that they have to learn in order to be an effective student. And you really have done it, and
Mhm.
it's hard for a lot of people. And you really fought the good fight and really persevered and did that. I mean, that's just in your nature. Where does that perseverance come from with you?
The strong women in my family.
Tell us more.
Yeah. Well, when I grew up, I am the sixth of seven children, and my
Mhm,
father passed away when I was 4 years old. Um, so I just had the mother figure who never remarried. She did everything, worked very hard for making life comfortable for the seven children. And I used to hate the thought of her not being home so much because she was constantly working two or three
mhm,
jobs to make things good and better for us. And in doing that working hard, the girls, there are three girls, two other sisters. She enrolled us in ballet at school, piano in
mhm,
lessons. So she wanted us to be abreast of the things we could do, the things that we could choose from in life, other than the environment for some of the areas that we grew up in. Because, of course, I grew up doing segregation.
mhm,
I was in the ninth grade when schools integrated. And at
mhm,
that time, I had had the opportunity in elementary school to just broaden my experiences in life. So, growing up with seven in the family, a mother who worked really hard to
mhm,
feed, clothe, and do the things that most parents do or you want to see in a parent, that
mhm,
was my perseverance for wanting to do. And I guess that's my reason for wanting to get a degree that I disappointed her and did not get a degree. And my sister did get her degree from school. So, in addition to life experiences as a child growing up, being married once and having three children. Not being married once, but the first marriage, I had three children. I
Mhm.
started working and never knew that I would work for 36 years for one company. So it's been my surrounding, the people I have met, how I learned to network as I grew up, staying in good company, and just wanting to do something. After my late husband passed away, I had cared for him for about 10 years from
Yeah.
dementia. So
Wow.
I said, well, rather than just sit here and watch my favorite stores, go to LA Fitness, and of course be with family when
Sure.
they were not working on special occasions, let me do something for me.
All right.
So I stopped dreaming about being back at Fort Valley. And now I dream about being at Mercer and
Uh,
completing my courses. Hopefully that answers the question that you asked me about, I guess, what led me into
yeah.
wanting to advance and not give up.
Yeah. You know, both of us are leaders by nature. That's why
Mm-hmm.
we're in leadership studies and things like that. We
Yes.
have a lot of experience under our belt. What would you say to the younger generation today about about 18-year-olds, 28-year-olds, about leadership? If you were to give some advice to a young person who really wants to be a good leader, what advice would you give them?
Well, at 18, 19 years old, try to set your goals if you are attending college to stay there, focus on what's important to reaching your goals, and try not to let anything take your attention away from what you want for yourself. Don't
Mhm.
worry about what people say.
Mhm.
In terms of if you can't be at a football game or you can't hang out with the crew for beers or whatever they do now in college, just keep your mind focused.
Yeah.
Try not to take that gap year
Uh,
unless you know yourself in terms of I need to rest. If you don't know what you want to do, there are students that I have met here at Mercer who started in one college to become like I thought I wanted to do, be an educator, but later learned they want to do something else. I
yeah.
don't know if we ever stop wanting to do something different to broaden our horizon to just try other things in life,
Mhm.
continue to be there. And if for any reason you can't continue, don't give up. Don't give up on your dreams, whatever they are. Hopefully, it won't take them as long as it took me 78 years. But even though it took me that long to get back in college to work on my degree, I was still being educated.
Yeah.
I became a real estate broker, which I still am. So that's
Mhm.
a learning process. I worked on the board of assessors. So sometimes we have to do things to work up to what our goal, what our dreams are. And why traveling this journey, it we may find something different,
Yeah.
but doing your life journey of reaching your goals, you can fulfill it with so many other things that help complete you. That's
Yeah.
what my feelings are.
Yeah.
Everything I've done on the journey leading up to Mercer is helping me with life experiences. I've enjoyed them, some I've regretted. Uh, right now, I'm just looking forward to spring 2027 just
Uh,
to see if I am, well, when I fulfill
you
this
will.
other dream.
Yeah. Yes.
But just don't give up. And I
Yeah.
used to feel intimidated with the younger people in class. Like if it was something I didn't know, I felt like I should know. The mother of three, grandmother of four, and it was really intimidating feeling. But I
Hmm.
learned to get over it because it doesn't matter what people think. And I've heard people say, "Why in the world would you want to go back to school at your age?" And when people learned that I was a Delta because the girls gave me a celebration party with 90 people that came, dropped by to see
Wow.
me that Sunday.
Oh,
And
wow.
they said, "Well, dear," all of their friends call me the same as what they call me, dear. They said, "We thought you were a Delta." And when I went back to school, they said, "Well, we didn't know you hadn't finished school. They thought I used to be a teacher
I can
before I
understand
worked at the
that.
bank."
Yeah, I can understand that. I get
So
it. I
life
get it.
journey can afford us with good and bad,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
use the bad things as a lesson learned.
That's right. And I just think I believe in divine destiny, if you will. I believe in I believe that our steps are ordered by the Lord. They're
Absolutely.
prescribed. And so I tend to live my life with no regrets. And I think that you're in school at the right time for the right
Yeah.
season of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And 20 years from now, when you're 100 and your great granddaughter is 22 right beside you, celebrating you become 100. What do you hope that she says about you at 100?
Wow.
Think about that.
That's something to give thought to because that's been my prayer. I've said, "Lord, I don't know what your plan is for my life, but I want to see 100."
Yeah.
Um, and based on his plan, if we continue with the relationship we have now,
Hmm.
I hope that Hendrix, will say to me, "Dear, I've learned so much from you. It's
Mm,
been inspiring to know that my grandmother went back to school after 50 years to get a degree that I got in my 20 or 21 years of living, and
yeah.
that you didn't give up." So I'm just hoping that my journey will be a lesson to not only my children, but to people I touch during my life,
Yeah.
um, people that I know in my church, in
Hmm.
my organization,
Yeah.
and that people know that I'm not going for a show. I'm going to school for Gail. And in
Good.
doing that, I am learning so much more than I would have sitting at home watching TV, the soaps,
Yeah.
and even going to, I like to go to the orchestra. I don't like the movies as much as I'd like going to plays,
Yeah.
um, the performances, and what have you. So those are all nice. I'm not saying those are not good things to do
Sure.
if you do not have a degree later in life, like 65 up to my age.
Mhm.
All of that complements the other.
Yeah. That's it.
So
What, one last question. Why does your loved ones call you dear?
the first granddaughter, Lauren, my staff at Wachovia, when I was managing this branch, gave me a grandmother's shower. And they
Okay.
said, "We want to help you have the things at home at your house when the grandbaby come over." And one of the games that were played, they said, "Well, let's come up with a name as to what Lauren should call Miss Whitaker." That's what I was at the
Okay.
time, other than grandmama or grandmother. So
Yeah.
everybody wrote names down
Sure.
as to their suggestion of what they recommend be my name as a grandmother. And my sister wrote down Grand Dearest,
Uh,
because my children would call me Mother Dearest behind my back. If you can relate to the Betty Davis
yes.
movie,
Yeah.
and how I would buy them the cutest little dresses, little frills and frays, and wanted to make sure that when they took them off, they hung them up.
Okay.
But to make a long story short, she put on their Grand Dearest, and everybody voted on that because it was so different. So when Lauren got here as a baby, and they start saying, "Go to Grand Dearest, go to Grand Dearest," and you know how children hear and start repeating. By the time she could talk, all she could get out was dear.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
then everybody started calling me dear.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's beautiful. That is so
Yeah.
beautiful. Well, I want you to know you're an inspiration to many. And I am so excited when you emailed me last week to say that your story is also going out on a Mercer publication to everyone, all our donors, students, and faculty and staff are going to read about you and all that because you are such an inspiration to many. I also say this that you're not just a student, but you're a student that is excelling, truly excelling. And I know a year from now, you're going to walk across that stage to get your diploma. And so I know that that is going to take place. I also
Yeah.
pray that possibly in the future that Dr. Barnett will be the one hooding your future grandchildren and your grandchildren and your great grandchildren in the future because you're really good at what you're doing. You are a student, you are an academician, and you're right there in academics. I'm just elated to have been a part of your academic journey and just so excited. Any final words you would like to share?
Well, I want to thank you when you said we were going to get together and you wanted to talk with me. I didn't realize it was on this magnitude, but I've enjoyed, as always, conversating with you.
Yeah.
You're just such an inspiration, not
Oh,
only to me, I'm sure to all of my classmates. And thank you for thinking so much of my success. And I call it success up to this point.
yeah.
I'm 2 years into the degree because I started as a sophomore. But I
Yeah.
just want people to know, since I've learned that you're going to put this on one of your social media, um, whatever, I'm still learning about those as well,
Yeah.
the social
Sure.
media. Don't ever give up for whatever you want. If you have the health and the strength, and if you don't feel as healthy as you think it should be, to make a step into education or whatever your life goals are.
Whatever.
I think
Yeah.
the more we get involved, the more energy we get. I went to the mall yesterday and walked around the mall because I had been suffering with high blood pressure, had dropped low this time. So I
Okay.
stopped taking all medication. So we
Okay.
have to learn to do what's best for us. Know your
Yeah.
body, know your limitation, and don't ever give up on trying to be the person you want to be.
Yeah. And I want to just bring a point home that you said about going back to school. You said, and you've said it many times here on this recording, you said, I did it for me. And I
Yes,
think that's I want to really hone into that because I think many people do a lot of things nowadays for everybody else, but not for
yes,
themselves.
right.
And so, whatever, and I like what you said, whatever, going back to school, doing a new job, whatever it is, do it for you and not anybody
Absolutely.
else. And I really like that. And I
Yeah.
always say this, this is how I tell my students. A lot of people don't see this side of me as a professor on these recordings, but I always say two things. Number one, I always want you to be a success. So I'm here for your success. And number two, always reach out to me if you need anything. And those are the two things I always tell my students, reach out to me if you need anything. And I am so glad that you have. And again, I am so glad to be part of this journey that you're on. And I'm glad that you're doing it for yourself. You really have inspired so many. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to say one quick thing. People
Sure.
will say, "You're crazy. Why are you doing that?" So that's why you've got to do whatever you want, whatever is on your bucket list, whatever your goals are, to do it for yourself, because sometimes you may not have the support to keep you going or to reach and grasp for whatever you want. And they said, "Are you crazy?" Some of my friends, "Why do you want to go to school? You've already been successful. You were a vice president in banking and you've done this and you've done that. But that degree I had not done. So don't let anyone discourage you."